Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Are Manchester City back to being untouchable, or was it just a case of Liverpool really were that poor? I would say it's a mix of both. I think either way, the 3-0 scoreline does probably reflect a fair result of the game. Liverpool were nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. And they got punished. There was a lot of interesting battles throughout the game. Manchester City had the upper hand in most of those battles. You think about Haaland against Konaté, obviously Doku against Bradley, Salah against Nico O'Reilly, even Verts against Matheus Nunes, who has come under a lot of criticism, especially for me. But Manchester City fully deserved that result. And we're going to talk about how they did it, as well as why Liverpool were so poor. So let's get into it. So first things first, Liverpool, knowing the way Manchester City were going to play, they had to be on it from the start, and they were the exact opposite. Manchester City were in cruise control from the very first minute. And when we think about this Liverpool team, especially in the Klopp era, maybe not so much under Slot, but they are pressing machines. They're a team that are always on the front foot, and they just didn't have that yesterday. Consistency was not there. This is in the 8th minute of the game, okay? Konaté, as you can do, goes long into Gravenberch, or say a medium pass. Gravenberch's pass or touch was not there. The ball then runs through, and Salah's in a duel with Guardiola in this instance. You can see it here. Now, fair enough, you can lose a duel with a centre-back or whatever it is. It's the 8th minute of the game, maybe feeding your way into it. Gravenberch is then coming up behind, so picking up those loose balls, which I think something, if you go back to even the Man United game, something Liverpool struggled to deal with. He loses the second ball, and as a result, Liverpool are not pushed up. McAllister then gives away a foul, and this actually results in them winning a free kick, and then Doku, they take it quickly. Doku goes at Bradley, and then we're going to be talking a little bit about Konaté later on, but Konaté makes the mistake for the penalty. And straight from the off, you can just see Liverpool just in the half-yard spaces. They're not at it. Liverpool off the back of playing Aston Villa, playing Real Madrid, they're coming into probably the biggest game of the season. If they were to go out and win that game yesterday, they would be closing in 5 points behind Arsenal, a long way to go in the title race. They go out and put in a performance like that, and you think the confidence would be high. Now, I've seen some excuses saying that they're a little bit leggy or whatever that is. I don't think that's the case. I just don't think Liverpool right now have the consistency in their team, and they don't know what kind of way they're going to perform. And I think Slot is trying to answer those questions as well. He doesn't know, whatever team goes out, what way they're going to play. And I think that's a problem. Now, I'm going to come on to Konaté now in a second, because for me, Konaté is a big worry in this team. I don't like singling players out, because I think players can be a bit up and down in performances. It's completely normal. But Konaté's performance yesterday is probably the worst I have seen in a Liverpool shirt. And I feel like I've said that actually a few times this season. And Gary Neville was talking about it on commentary. Haaland was closing down Van Dijk, so you're basically expecting Konaté to be someone that passes out from the back. As you've seen there in the first shot that I was talking about, he was the one passing that ball into Gravenberch, but Konaté was the one being expected to play those passes out. And that's not his strong suit. Progressive passes are not his strong suit. But what are Konaté's qualities? We know what his qualities are. He's very good at interceptions, reading the game, and in those physical duels, he's very good with those 1v1 battles. But he was just nowhere near yesterday. The penalty for Manchester City, as I've just said, he comes across when he probably shouldn't even be there. Bradley has it under control. He tries to play a pass out when he probably should just be clearing his lines. And Doku picks it up, wins the penalty. And Liverpool are lucky not to be one goal down. It was obviously a great save by Marmadashvili. But just those decision-making processes in such a big game, just nowhere near it. You go on to the second goal then. Yes, it was a great cross, but I think he needs to do better there. You need to be a centre-back, similar to way when you're really on it, you're kind of getting tight to your man. Like Haaland sitting off the back of him, he tries to flick it off, and then it just comes off Haaland's head and goes in the back of the net. For me, I'm criticising Konaté in that position, because like he should be clearing his lines in those moments. And then even for the third goal, like, yes, very tricky customer, and I completely understand that when he's shifting and when he was playing as good as he was yesterday, that it can be difficult to manage someone like that. Konaté lets him come in on his stronger foot. And the game that he is having, he was just, everything that he was doing was coming off. Comes in, shoots. It's a brilliant goal. But for me, I just think it's lazy defending, if I'm being completely honest. And if we look at Konaté's stats from the game, 0 tackles, 0 interceptions, 2 fouls. That tells a story. He never got close to Haaland or Doku and never looked settled throughout the game. For someone expected to step up as a long-term defensive leader, this was a step back. Now, don't get me wrong. There was a lot of poor performances across that pitch. I think Konaté's performances just summed it up. Lack of intensity, poor decision-making, poor on the ball. And in the end, Liverpool got what they deserved. So I've talked about Liverpool, but you have to give credit to this Manchester City side. Even with Liverpool not performing at their best, they can still cause damage. But Man City contained them very well. City's intensity was there. Their passing was there. And even after they missed the penalty, you could say they could potentially maybe go backwards, but they didn't. They took it in their stride. They continued to do what they were doing. They caused Liverpool issues and they smelled blood. If we look at that Haaland goal, every single Manchester City player got a touch. Liverpool were trying to press them, put them into the corner. They played out. The ball comes across to Matheus Nunes. Yes, Haaland got a little bit lucky with the finish, but it was a brilliant move to get them up the pitch and get that chance. What I would say is Liverpool looked more reactive and trying to react to the way City were doing. They were more happy to sit in and defend, whereas Man City were on the front foot. Now, yes, Liverpool playing away from home, that's probably more normal, but I feel like when Liverpool got those opportunities to go forward, they didn't do it, whereas Man City consistently wanted to put them under pressure, and they got the results from it. I want to take a quick second just to say a big thank you to the official sponsor of today's video, Champions Travel. They are the official sponsor of the football story, and if you're ever looking to go to Premier League games, La Liga game, Bundesliga games, they have got you covered. They are 100% guaranteed. I have used them so many times going from Ireland to Liverpool games, and they are absolutely unbelievable. Check out the link in my description for more details. Now, I don't think I could talk about this game without talking about this VAR decision. For me, I'm going to be completely honest. Let me know what you think in the comments, because it's obviously a really big point in the match. It's a contentious offside, in my opinion. And this is the rule. A player in an offside position at the moment the ball is played or touched by a teammate is only penalised on becoming involved in an active play by preventing an opponent from scoring or being able to play the ball by clearly obstructing the opponent's line of vision, which is what Robertson does not do. Challenging an opponent for the ball, he does not do. Clearly attempting to play the ball, which is close when the action impacts on an opponent, so he doesn't attempt to play the ball. Making an obvious action which clearly impacts on the ability of an opponent to play the ball. For me, Donnarumma can see that the entire way. Robertson obviously tries to move it away because the ball is moving in that direction, but he never makes an obvious action to try and play the ball. And for me, that would be a goal. Whether that's Man City, whether that's Liverpool, whether it's Manchester United, I don't want to see goals ruled out for those types of issues. And I don't think the rules of what I've just said there, I don't think that makes it a offside in that case. In saying that, I don't think you can disagree, but that was a turning point in the game. For as bad as Liverpool were, they could have potentially been going in at halftime 1-1. Like, that is huge in the context of the game. And the big issue for me is how Liverpool reacted to that. Yes, obviously not getting the goal is disappointing, but they continued then to recede into their own half. Man City they felt that there was probably another goal there for them before halftime, and then they got that. The second goal, like, I don't know what Ekatike is doing for not closing down in that instance. He should be bursting a gut to get out and close down that ball, but he doesn't do it. And then, listen, you're going in at 2-0 down at halftime in comparison to 1-1. Like, you can only imagine what that does to a player's head, especially in a big game like this. In saying all this, I think we do have to give a lot of credit to one man, and that was the man of the match yesterday, Doku. He was absolutely incredible. And I've seen some people talking about that he is world class. I wouldn't put him in that category yet. Like, if you look at his numbers, that was his first goal in the Premier League this season. Like, he hasn't been setting the world alight in terms of his goal contributions from that point of view. And I think if you were to talk to any Man City fan or any fan that watches him, you would say that his impact on games, his final ball, has been poor in the years gone by. They're saying now after the Liverpool game that it has improved, but I don't think it has in the same instance. He's definitely playing his best football of his career at Man City so far. I would still like to see him be a little bit more like he was yesterday, just decisive in the big moments. And if you go back to the game last year and you think about how good he was, Liverpool won that game 2-0. He had 15 take-ons, which is the second most in Premier League history in any match since the day to start being recorded. But the only difference was his final product wasn't there. Yesterday it was there, and he obviously won the penalty and got his goal. So I think that's something that you would want to see a little bit more of. I don't think 1 goal and 3 assists in 11 games is that good, but he does have the quality there to be a regular starter and someone that could be a big contributor to this Man City team, because he does have a lot of quality. But what does that mean for Liverpool and Man City? Man City would fancy themselves 4 points now behind Arsenal. A long way to go in the title race. Obviously, the quality that they have, Guardiola, the impact that him being in the title race with Arteta, I think Arsenal fans will probably play a little bit into their mind. I still do think Arsenal are the best team right now. The team that look the most competent and resilient and defensively strong. Yes, they're going to have their issues, as every big team will, but I think Man City will feel a little bit better about themselves now going into this international break and going into this title race with Arsenal. For Liverpool, 5 defeats, which is more than the 4 that they suffered all of last season. And if you think about it, Liverpool only suffered 1 loss against Forest, which was when they were actually competing for the title. They dropped points against Fulham, but by then the title race was almost done. And then we know what happened with the end of the season where they kind of just didn't really care about any of the matches. So having 5 losses in November is concerning. But with this Liverpool team, my opinion is their consistency is just going to be up and down. You're going to get a performance like we did against Real Madrid, or you're going to get a performance like we did against Manchester City. I just think that's where we are with this team right now. There's no cohesiveness. Obviously, I think this team is a lot more specific to the team that played last year, but the likes of Ekatike, Wirtz, Kirkes came on, Marmalashvili in goal. Trent is obviously not there. Bradley's playing right back. Like, there's a lot of changes in this team, and I think they're struggling to find the consistency to be able to put a string of results together to be able to go on and potentially compete with Arsenal. My thoughts are 8 points behind them now. I think there's more losses coming for this Liverpool team because of how they're playing. But what I would say is their next kind of 9 games up until they play Arsenal at the Emirates is a little bit more favourable. They're playing, I think, only Spurs and Sunderland, who are in the top half of the league, and the rest are all teams below or in the bottom half. So there could be a bit of a turnaround, and we could see a bit of a run of results. But as I said, the consistency isn't there, and I don't expect it to be with this team going forward, which is disappointing because I think the amount of money that they spent, it should be there. But overall, Guardiola got it right. Liverpool were nowhere near it, and there's a lot of reflection over this international break. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed the content, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers, guys.